Good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming out tonight. Before we start, I need to announce that there are 2 exits from this room. If you need to get out, that door goes directly outside. This door goes out into the lobby and out that way. This door actually goes out, but it goes through an office and all of that. So in the event we have to evacuate, best go that way. That door's a closet, so don't go that way. Tonight, first on our agenda, we have a presentation by the Malta League of Arts. I think Sharon Walsh and Tammy Handley, it's next after. So, welcome, ladies.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Supervisor Young, Town Board members Ricky, Warner, Connor, and McLaughlin for welcoming the Malta League of Arts to this April meeting. My name is Sharon Walsh. I've been associated with the Malta League of Arts since its founding in 2009. Tonight, Tammy Hanley and I will introduce you to the league. This one, just use this one. First off, we are a not-for-profit 501c3 incorporated in November 2010. We were created to provide, encourage, and support the diverse cultural resources within our community. Activities include art exhibits open to the public at no charge, workshops, cultural trips, and music and dance events. The MLA also offers scholarships to all our high school seniors involved with making a career in the arts. We want to make sure that our goals complement what the town is currently doing without overlap. The Malta League of Arts has had a number of past events that support local artists. You might say, why do we support local artists and the arts in general? One very important reason is that local arts help to cultivate a sense of identity, and more importantly, it gives us all a sense of place. Artists inspire and foster creativity, goodness, and beauty. Very important, I'm sure, to all of us here. Some say the identity of a region, a city, or a town, and the people who live there reflect in its art. The arts can also stimulate our local economy. We celebrate some past activities. The first one is it's called Arts Attitudes, and it's an annual art show that showcases approximately 40 artists, local artists, and it was a show, a sale, and a social gathering that drew many people to our community. This event took place 7 years in a row. Next was a pop-up performance at the Malta Drive-In. Maybe some of you were there. It was quite an experience. It was a very avant-garde experience featuring the third rail exhibit theater people, and they were very, very interesting, and it really surprised and delighted a lot of people at the drive-in. Next, we have the Ellen Sinopoli Modern Dance Company. It's an undercover playground performance that took place in Shenandoah Park, Baker Park, Malta Community Park, and the Simpson Avenue Park. As you can see, the dancers came and really made a dance around all of the equipment that was located in each park. Then, to expand our experience, the Malta League of Arts had a bus trip to the New York City Botanical Gardens, and it was featuring the artwork that many of us know of Frida Kahlo. It was really quite a day. Then in our own backyard, we brought a busload of people from here in Malta up to the Saratoga Performing Arts Center to see the Bolshoi Ballet. What was very interesting about that is that we realized how many people really don't want to drive at night to go, like, even up to the Performing Arts Center. So we had a full bus sold out immediately, and I hope that we can do something again like that for all of us. Then there was the World Awareness Children's Museum. This was a 4-day event, and it included 70 to 80 paintings of young artists from around the world. That was held at the Round Lake Auditorium. It was really quite inspiring to see these artworks from children here, there, and literally around the world. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you came to see Elizabeth Pitcairn. She's a world-renowned violinist, and she's the legendary owner of the legendary Red Violin. She graced us with 2 performances, both sellout concerts. Then we have plein air. That is painting outside. And this featured the Victorian architecture of Round Lake cottages and gardens. We had teaching artists that led 4 to 5 hour sessions throughout the village. And then the artist created a work that was later put for sale and we had a reception and a sale and a gathering. It was really quite inspiring. Here's some pictures of the artists out and about in the village. And then the gathering. Part of the plein air festival was we had the children come here to Malta to the library, and they painted outside in the garden. And this was their interpretation of what they experienced that day. Then during COVID, time I'll never forget, the Malta League of Arts distributed free art supplies to all the children in Malta. And we had a very, very nice response. And let's hope that that doesn't happen again. Now I'll bring you to Tammy, who will come and tell us about where we are now and today and tomorrow. Thank you.
At our first event following COVID, author Kat Fitzpatrick gave a memoir workshop where people took a memory and translated it into a piece of writing or a work of art. Now, at Malta Community Day 2022, the question most people asked when they came to our table was, do you offer art classes for children, or what art services does Malta have? So as a result of that, with the support of the town of Malta, we began development of an ongoing directory of art resources in the Malta area. This directory can be found on our website and is updated as we learn of new resources to add to it. We also held a winter crafts and hot cocoa event at the Malta Community Center in early December. It was really well attended. We had tables with volunteers directing craft projects. We had cookie decorating and photo op booth. MLA provides annual scholarships to aspiring and continuing artists from Shenendehowa and Ballston Spa High School to students that are going to go on and study art. Last year, we provided 2 $250 awards. Also, in 2023, we had our first annual art swap. This is where participants brought their own art or craft and traded it for something that another artist had created. These are some pictures from the art swap. And Malta Community Day 2023, I just had to show some of these pictures of the young artists that stopped by our table and their creations. Something else we did in 2023 was Coffee with Creatives Open Studio. We had 4 of these nights. It was kind of an experiment. We supplied coffee and snacks, and people could bring whatever project they were working on and do it in the company of other artists and chat while they're working. These are some of the events that we're planning for 2024. On May 11th, we're going to have a rock painting workshop, and this is going to be followed up with another session for senior citizens from High Point. Our second art swap is going to be June 15th, and our second winter crafts and hot cocoa will be December 7th. And of course, we'll continue to expand our directory of art resources, and we'll continue to provide scholarships. Anybody can be a member of the Malta League of Arts. Some of the benefits, you're the first to hear about programs and events. You can receive free or reduced admission to these events. You can help plan and participate in new events. And of course, if you're a teaching creative, you'll be listed in our directory, and we can share your special events on our website. This is our contact information, and it's also on the back of the brochure. And there's some more brochures there if anybody here wants one. And we would also like your feedback from the board, what you as a town board would like to see us do to support the arts. Does anybody have any questions?
Thanks so much, you guys. It's nice to learn about this organization that's actually been around for a while. And I think everybody's life deserves a little art, so please join the Malta League of Arts.
Thanks. Cindy.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start our meeting. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a little silent moment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is to accept the minutes of the town clerk from the April 1st and the special meeting on April 15th.
So forward.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I had correspondence. We've gotten a couple of correspondences of note. They're from Dr. Buckley, our public health official. She wants us to know that measles outbreaks continue in mostly unimmunized people. Measles is a highly contagious and very serious infection. Bird flu has been found in cats, cows, and now humans. It's mostly in the Midwest and it's spread from wild birds to domesticated flocks. Other animals can spread it within the herd. As spring is here, rabies protection for domesticated animals is important. Tick awareness should be reviewed. Stinging insects are now active. Playground and water safety needs to be stressed. And bicycle traffic increases, necessitate awareness by motorists and bicyclists. On the note about the ticks, I believe the town clerk's office has still, are they gone?
We've distributed 150.
Oh, tick removal kits. I don't know if they have many left. Another correspondence that we got, and this is actually for the town board, and I hope you all got it, is the Malta Ambulance Corps has asked us to have a closed session with them to discuss contract negotiations. I didn't hear from anybody. Is anybody willing? Should we arrange that? Are we allowed to do that?
Well, we can discuss in executive session, contract negotiations, and you're free to invite who you want to attend that. And we can schedule that at any regular town board meeting.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if specifically this is what they're asking for. It doesn't really say.
I mean, I can follow up with their attorney if you
Okay.
send it over.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's rather lengthy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, just,
thanks.
yep.
Anybody else have any correspondence they want to share? The next item on our agenda is the public comment. Before we actually go there, there's a couple of things that I've learned that might be of interest to some of you out there, I'm sure. First of all, there's been a lot of conversation about a possible easement for the construction of the New York State Police Barracks on Dunning Street. It is my understanding that the Office of Government Services wants an easement, but I don't know if it's actually an easement, to disrupt our trail for the installation of utilities. I have personally had no contact with the Office of General Services. I sent an email some time ago and received no response. When I spoke with Major Lachardo from the state police a couple of weeks ago, I told him that any such request was unlikely to be approved by this board. Our town attorney is currently following up with the OGS to find out exactly what it is they're looking for. And as soon as we have more information, we'll share it with this board and the public. But in other news, Assemblywoman Carrie Warner was at an event on Friday evening that the governor was also attending, and she seized the opportunity to speak directly to the governor about this community's longstanding defense of these 4 acres and how important it is that the state pause and consider alternatives, of which there are several in Malta, for the siting of the new barracks. The governor asked the staff who was with her at the time to follow up, and we'll see if anything comes of it. She also wanted me to relay to you that she has reached out to the Attorney General's office on a couple of other avenues. So that from Carrie. So we'll open it up to public comment. I think that there are several people here that probably want to comment. So I will remind you that it's not a question and answer period. And I'm going to ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes. And I'll set a timer, but you know, if you go a couple seconds over, I think it'll be okay. But try not to last much more than 3 minutes. Anyone want to comment? Oh.
My name is Susan Nuttall. I live in Luther Forest. I'm just going to be very brief. I just wanted to show my support for a recommendation that was made at the last meeting about adding the planning board meetings to the YouTube videos. I feel that YouTube recordings, I feel that would be really helpful. And also a lot of issues which people kept discussing is transparency, and I feel that that would be a really good way to improve that. They're already public meetings, so I guess I don't really understand what the issue is, but I would just like to say that I support that and hope we can go forward with it.
Thank you, Susan.
Same subject. I was up here before. I'm a native of the area, and while our jobs took us away from the area for a while, we planned to retire here, or we did retire here. Our time away gave us opportunities to experience how other communities made information available to their residents and how their methods of dissemination evolved with new technology. I am following up on my previous request for the town planning meetings as well as zoning board meetings to be live streamed and remain available to review on YouTube. I also request that the term dates of members of these 2 boards be listed on their web pages so residents can be aware of pending board appointments. And being proactive is the goal here.
Thank you, Linda.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Hi, Kate Hofer from Miller Road. I appreciate the fact that Miller Road is on the agenda. So just as you're having that conversation, just a few things that I would love clarity on. I know when we spoke, we had discussed possibly getting some more usable data from the vendor that manages the digital speed sign. So I'm just curious if you were able to get that. Also, if there's been any discussion about the light at East Line Road and Round Lake Road. since that seems to be a driver, no pun intended, of traffic down Miller Road. And Nicole Holohan is not able to be here tonight, but she would like to see if there's been any discussion about repainting the lines so that there could be a bike lane, and if there has been any discussion on updating the Mountain View study to include Miller Road at the developer's expense. I know that's something that you had mentioned as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not used to sitting in the front row, so I don't know if you, I got demoted up here. Kathy Eitzman, Malta Seniors. The seniors are getting ready for their first road trip on May the 7th. We're going to be seeing Legendary Women, a tribute artist presentation. Because this will be the next meeting for our Malta Seniors, we meet on the first Monday of the month, so that will be on May 6th. Our speaker is going to be Suzanne Ballet, and she has another last name there, but it's Ballet Floral and Farm, and she does a great job about gardening. You do not need to be a member of our seniors to attend any of our meetings, so we welcome you.
Thank you, Kathy.
I would just like to briefly get an update on
Can
Miller
you
Road.
say your name and address, please?
Sure, Bruce Bourgeois, 11 Miller Road. We've been dealing with the problem on Miller Road for the past 3 years, and we would like to kind of move into some form of positive action regarding it. We've talked about the possibility of widening the road. We talked about the possibility of adding sidewalks, which I think neither one is really, would have any benefit to really reduce the speeding on Miller Road. I think it has to be a situation of self-awareness of the drivers that are on Miller Road. It's a situation where I've talked to Sheriff Zerlo myself. He doesn't have the ability, nor do we have the prominence to be able to demand or even ask for any additional patrols as far as the traffic goes on Miller Road. What we do have is, I do have a couple of suggestions that I'd like to just briefly toss out as a possibility. I do think that the stop sign on Miller Road at Glen Eagles would be a big deterrent. Miller Road is unique because of the fact that it is a downhill run, and it is a hot shortcut from East Line Road and the homes on East Line Road to the Northway. And when people make the turn off of East Line onto Miller, they're going about 30 miles an hour. By the time they drop the hammer down and they hit halfway down Miller Road, we're seeing speeds in excess of 65, and 75 is not unusual. I think that a stop sign on Glen Eagles would kind of give them the idea that, well, why should I speed up if I'm going to have to put my brakes on halfway down? That's a possibility. I don't want to take up a lot of time. I would like to ask you to explore another possibility. We talked about speed bumps. Speed bumps are a bit unrealistic because of the possibility of having to put them down, pull them up, and then you've got instances where they're pretty costly. There was a situation in Long Island when I was with New York State DOT where we used the rumble strips in the road. They're traditionally used down a yellow line to prevent cars from going from one lane to the other. In this incident, what had happened is DOT had laid down asphalt, which had a high content of ground up tires in it, made it really slippery. So what they did do is they used those rumble strips to go across the road. And they used maybe about 10 or 12 feet where it was 2 or 3 rumble strips, a space, and then 2 or 3 rumble strips again. It was just enough to solve the problem where they didn't have to pull up 3 or 4 miles of concrete and then replace it with a different mixture. That might be an easy solution to a long-standing problem. So I would like to throw that out there as at least a possibility. I don't think that we're going to get a situation. Number one, we all know the traffic is not going to decrease on Miller Road. It's not good with the amount of building in the area and with everybody coming down there. I think that the only thing that we can rely on is self-awareness of the drivers themselves that are using the road. So that's a suggestion that I've got. It's an approach that I know has worked in Long Island. It's worked in other counties and communities in the southern part of the state. It's a good possibility, and it's effective and inexpensive.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Lawrence Lieberman, Mayapple Way in Malta and Luther Forest. I just want to thank the board members for your support in helping to relocate the barracks within Malta. It's really greatly appreciated, and protecting the forest that we have there is very important as well. So I just want to thank everybody.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Jim Ponatowski, 5 Miller. Yeah, so I walk my dog every day right around 7:30 every morning. And as Bruce Bourgeois said, that, I'll look up, I'll see 57, 58 miles an hour, no shoulder on the road. And there's a lot of people in support of, trying to do something, help us out a little bit here. There's a lot of people that are not here tonight that really support this. Obviously, everybody on the road, but my thought is when I get down to Miller Road, I always go to the sign where you have your speed limit sign, and also you have your, it flashes 40 miles an hour, or 57, or whatever it is. And that's where I turn around. And I'll tell you what, if we had a crosswalk there and a stop sign there, it's almost like right in the middle. And as Bruce said, you're coming down that road and you are picking up speed, and maybe just put a, hey, stop sign ahead or whatever, stop there, crosswalk. I don't think we have to spend a lot of money on research to get this done. I have another property in another town, and I think they just made some kind of a rule. They didn't go to the state. They don't have to. They just made something, and they put they made a resolution. We're going to put a stop sign on this road. We don't want our taxes to go up. We don't want you guys to spend all kinds of money that's not needed for a study. We just want a stop sign. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Downey, 35 Miller Road. I've been there for 32 years. And the traffic's gotten more and more. And it's 40 miles an hour on our street. Down the main drag between the roundabouts, it's 35. So right off the bat, they ought to lower the speed limit. And I think that would help a lot if you lower the speed limit. And with regards to the sheriffs, I believe the town of Malta gave additional money over the last couple of years to the Saratoga County to get more hours or more sheriffs. Why can't they, you put a sheriff out there a couple times a month, I think you'd slow it down. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else? There'll be additional public comment at the end of the meeting. Oh, sorry.
Gregory Takal, 296 Ruley Road South. As far as the Miller Road thing goes, there's a lot of traffic that comes Ruley Road through the cutoff to East Line, through Miller. And first of all, I drive that way every day. I think that Ruley Road, the speed limit on that is 40. People are going 50, 60 miles an hour down that road. We get a ton of traffic making that cutoff. Last fall, there was a convoy of 5 Yankee Trail buses that came through there just to avoid the rotaries. I think if you put stop signs at Glen Eagles and Ruley Road South, a 4-way there, a 3-way stop sign at Miller Road and Ruley Road South, and then one at somewhere along Miller Road, it's gonna slow the traffic down, drop the speed limits to 30 miles an hour, because it's a residential area, and that will slow down. It will make people think twice about taking that as a shortcut, and they'll stay on the main road and East Line, which are county roads, and I think that would solve a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Michaela Hofer of 24 Miller Road. I don't feel safe when I go out to wait for the bus. It's like 7:30, 7:40 in the morning, and I see sometimes speeds of like 58, mostly like over 40, but sometimes it gets higher than like 55. And I feel like I might get hit if like the roads aren't safe. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we will move on to comments from town board members and department heads. I just have a couple of announcements. First, our May town board meetings will be on the 6th, which is the regular time. Our agenda meeting in May will be on the 20th because of Memorial Day, so it's a week earlier. Also, I may have announced this before, but the Discovery Channel is actually doing a feature on the Malta rocket test site. I think they're going to start filming. I think it's May 13th, but the date could be wrong. So we'll get more on that. It'll feature our former town historian, Paul Perrault. So very interesting. If you don't know anything about the Malta rocket test site, it's a very interesting history in Malta. And last, I want to announce that we are doing repair work on Old Post Road starting on Monday. The road is expected to be closed. The entire length of Old Post Road is expected to be closed for almost 3 weeks. So please try to avoid that. We'll try to remind you often because it's quite a busy road. Any other town board members have anything to announce? Greg?
I got one. I was with a resident 2 weeks ago who's having a extremely large drainage issue. Some of it is caused by new asphalt put on the street that ended up hurting a drainage area. It was just paved over. It's coming on his property, down his drive to the back of his house, and 2 houses up from him, there's this massive pond that has started that it isn't flowing out of there, but I will address that issue.
Where is this, Craig?
Avondale area.
I got something. First off, I'd like to thank the residents for showing up. I don't know if that's because it's better weather, but the more the merrier is a lot better for us. It's more interaction with the town residents. For Miller Road, I'm all in favor of lowering the speed limit. I would like to remind everyone, official request is in to the Department of Transportation to lower the speed limit. And that's got to be certified by a certified civil engineer for traffic, and the Department of Transportation handles that. And yes, it's laborious, and it takes almost 18 months. And we submitted that on the 3rd of March. So I don't want everyone to forget that we still have a request in officially and haven't got an answer yet from the Department of Transportation to lower the speed limit. We just can't go out there and change the signs. However, where's the gentleman that talked about the rumple strips? I've liked that. We'll look into that a little bit more, 'cause I've gone over those, They do work going down hills. Route 6 out by Bear Mountain, they got a whole bunch before you get to that circle. It slows you down.
We usually have this on the agenda.
What's that?
I mean, you can continue.
All right, so the police presence there on Miller Road, my wife has been pulled over on Miller Road. She was doing 41. They didn't get a ticket, but it told her to slow down. She was, I'm not kidding either. But anyhow, next subject though is, that's not on here, is, Cynthia, you said you had received some correspondence from the state police about the barracks, where they're committed to keep going forward with this, with the barracks. And it's quoted here in your emails. Wonder if we could see or get a copy of the full letter that they sent you, and or post that so the residents could see that for true transparency of what the state police has transpired to us.
Yeah, I thought that that was actually the most relevant part of it, but you can certainly see the whole email. I'll forward it to you tomorrow. So,
That's all I got for now.
I have a couple comments. Maybe Jamie or Floria, if you can answer this. Malta Gardens, is there a protection that in our zoning that will always be a mobile home park? Do you know?
I don't think there is.
Okay. Rick Hanley made a great suggestion, and that is that when we relook at our zoning, that we put a guarantee that's always a mobile home park. Because if this PDD next to it gets approved, obviously the value of that land at Malta Gardens is going to increase, and I want to kill any motivation for the owner of that to sell, and that's always going to be a mobile home park to protect our residents there.
It's certainly something that we can consider because we're going through the process of rezoning, so.
Matt, I can just let you know, I haven't looked at it in a while, but there is a state law that requires a specific process if a owner of a mobile home park wishes to sell it. And it is, there is a law already in place to protect the redevelopment of those. I'm not saying it's the only solution, but any statute or anything that we were to draft would have to consider that law and whether, it's been preempted and what we can and can't do.
Okay.
But that was, I think, a few years ago also brought up, so I can dig out some info for you.
Thank you. If we can legally
Yep.
put another barrier of protection in there,
Yep, that's, I was just gonna say, if we can tighten it up some,
yes.
then certainly in the rezoning process, that can be looked at.
Another thing, just to reiterate what a brainstorming idea, obviously there's many locations that would be more ideal for the state police barracks than the Luther Forest. One of them I like is the old Malta or My Way Cafe location, I believe currently owned by the Dake family. If there's some way we can if we do approve this PDD, if we can possibly tie in as a possibility as a public benefit, which is required for the passage of the PDD, that they purchase that land for the purpose of building the state police barracks there. I would just like to also explore that avenue too.
The only real setback that I can see from that, I think it's a really good idea, is that the PDD is probably at least 2 years out from anything being completed, but, because it's a long process, but good idea. And I think it'd be a good location, so.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have actually 5 action items tonight. I added one at the very end that we were just going to discuss, but our highway superintendent asked that we move it forward. The first 3 are related to our volunteer fire companies and the Malta Ambulance Corps. There's a program to encourage volunteerism, and that there is a service award. If a volunteer goes to a certain number of calls or trainings or things like that, then they are eligible to participate in this service award program. It's basically a retirement. They won't get it until later. But our comptroller has to review all of the records and make sure that all of those that are eligible for it actually get it. So the first 3 resolutions are those. One of them is the first one is to approve the service award program for the Malta Ridge Volunteer Fire Company.
So move.
Second.
I think I don't know how many there are on here, quite a few that qualify for it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next one is to approve the service award program for the Round Lake Hose Company. There's a bunch of those too, maybe even more.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Last is the Malta Ambulance Corps. They have dwindling volunteerism because they mostly are, paid professionals, paramedics, and EMTs, but still, they have 4 people that have qualified for this program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is to approve the contract for the zoning and townwide GEIS update. Why we put this back on again is at the advice of our attorney, since the contract was so much different than what was originally proposed when we passed the resolution to accept the bid. We thought it would be prudent for you to be able to review it again and then accept it and authorize me to sign it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
So forward.
Second.
So moved, I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else.
And was there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next resolution is to amend the Highway Superintendent's 284 agreement. The 284 agreement is the agreement that the town board makes with the highway superintendent we appropriate funds for him to do certain repairs on our highways. We needed to add $300,000 to his 284 agreement to pay for the improvements on Old Post Road.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll be happy to get that off. The Old Post Road repairs have been on an agenda for this board for many, many years, so having that improvement done will be great. Next, we have a series of discussion items. The first one was, of course, Miller Road. Al already gave some remarks, but if he has more?
Now, I gave my remarks where it says comments from the town board, so maybe I jumped the gun, but I like that one. Again, Miller Road, we're working it. I understand people would like a little bit quicker action, but it's not dead.
I have a couple comments. Thank you for all the recommendations. I think they're all great. Besides, we have to do 2 things here. We have to want people to want to take a left-hand turn off of East Line Road on Round Lake Road when they're heading south of East Line Road, while simultaneously discouraging people to want to take Miller Road. All these recommendations are great for reducing an incentive to take Miller Road, but I also want to increase the incentive to take East Line down to Round Lake. And if we can, I don't think there's enough room there to have a left-hand turning lane there, but if we can change the light that there is for the north and southbound, that there is a turn signal where they can either go where only the southbound can go, and then only the northbound on East Line can go.
Yeah, it's been reported by the residents that light is problematic. It's too busy, 2-lane roads. The traffic light is there's no slip lane, there's no dedicated left-hand turn lane. It's sort of a problematic intersection in one way because it's 2 county roads. It's 2 county roads, it's 2 towns. It's a border for the town of Malta and the town of Alston. The other thing that's sort of problematic is there's a cemetery right there, but I would think that we should ask at least the county to take a look at it, see how effectively the light is working. Maybe it needs to change more often. Ideally, the whole intersection being reworked would be good, but I think that's going to require, again, a traffic study. It would be nice if the traffic study from the state includes it, but I don't know if it will. It will remain to be seen till we get that. So I think that's really an important piece.
I do support reducing the speed limit from 40 to 30 on Miller Road and Ruley Road South. I like the stop signs at Ruley Road and Glen Eagle and Ruley Road, or Miller Road and Glen Eagles also, and a three-way stop sign on Miller Road and Ruley Road. I would like to have something further to the west on Miller Road, so as you go down Miller Road from west to east, you actually have to stop twice. Maybe that is where the crosswalk and stop sign goes. And I also like the idea of rumble strips too, and children at play signs.
I got something to say on this. I've been very active in this process for about a year and a half. I've been to the site, got the radar signs put up. We have applied to get the speed dropped down. We're waiting for the state. My biggest frustration is why can't the town put a stop sign up in the crosswalk and the rumble strips? They're not expensive, they're common sense, and it's been a year and a half. We haven't done anything except the speed sign. That's my biggest.
Well, that's a simple question. Is it legal just to put a stop sign? Per the New York State manual, says you can't use a stop sign as a speeding control device only.
That's my understanding, but if you put a crosswalk in there, you substantiate the stop signs. It's at an intersection. They don't cost a lot. I don't know what the approval process is. It seems to be
Well, if
clear.
it's that easy, I'm for it.
I
So,
am too. I got a hand raised also.
What is, Roger, do you know the legality of just putting paint down and saying this is a crosswalk? And then therefore we can put a stop sign?
Crosswalks that were put in on Ruley Road South, there was a safety audit, and I think it included Miller Road at that time. Whenever you do crosswalks or a stop sign, you should have a safety audit by an engineer or the state. Why haven't we done it then?
Well, that's,
But if the state's taken over a year to respond, isn't there some other avenue? Where are you gonna put a crosswalk? There's a ditch on each side of Miller Road. Right at the stop sign. At the stop sign, at the four-way intersection.
Are you talking about Ivy Court and Glen Eagles?
Yes, yes. It's just the most logical. It's not expensive. You're not putting in sidewalks. The whole cause of this whole thing is safety. And if we can't respond to a safety issue in town, shame on us. The town board issue, Craig.
well, yeah, you're,
That's what I'm bringing up. I've been talking about it for a year and a half. I've met with the residents down there. It was overwhelming. I couldn't believe the amount that showed up. I've been down there at the data signs. We've met. We watched the cars go by. There was a truck as we're standing there. As soon as he got by that data sign, he floored it all the way up Miller, just to say, shame on you guys. I don't like what you're doing. It's time we take action. Enough is enough. Stop talking about it.
all right, let's go like
Let's
this. Ready?
answers.
I want to introduce a resolution to put a crosswalk and stop sign at the intersection of Miller Road and Glendale's.
Miller Road and Glen Eagles.
Glen Eagles.
Steve, do we have the legal authority to
I'll second it.
Well-
create traffic control devices?
You got a first and a second on your motion, so if you want to have discussion. I'm, not prepared to discuss the legality of it, being asked that it's just brought up now, but in the past reviews of it, we had concerns both from engineering and legal that basically said you can't just paint lines on there, and I would be very, very skeptical, and I would advise the board not to do that. I don't think it is a matter of appropriating and spending money, and the town board certainly can do that. But I think you might want to consult your town engineers at first, and to make sure that we're doing it right. Because in changing it, if there is an accident and we didn't do it right, you can bet we're going to have some liability or potential liability. So I'm not saying that it can't be done, I'm saying that the prior town board set on a path. It sounds now like you want to take a new path, and the board certainly can do that. I think you should engage the engineering first and see, okay, what's the proper method for us to do this? And then move it forward with a proper resolution, not one addressed now without considering those things.
I think it's time that happens, but the safety works both ways.
I got a question for you.
Somebody gets hurt on that street, in the near coming future, we got a problem, because they've been asking this for 2 to 3 years. To this date, the only thing that's happened is the signs. We need to get some answers.
Well, you're asking us, Craig, to get the answers, so just make sure you're addressing that to us, because they can't give you the answers. We're supposed to have the answers, so what you're really doing is putting that request upon us, which is fine. Now, I got a question, though, if anyone knows it, Roger or Steve. What is the difference between a safety study and an engineer study? Are they one and the same and synonymous, or are they two different things? Because I know we have to have a certified engineer traffic study for the speed limit. Is that the same for a stop sign? Does anyone know that question? Because I don't. I'll find out. I'm going to try to, but.
What Roger was suggesting is a safety audit, which is an engineering study basically on the safety of the road.
It's a study by an engineer, and he'll take in all the considerations of the speeding, the accidents, the safety of the road, and recommend to the town what to do.
And if we do that, we can
So,
include,
and then it's up to the town whether they want to do it or they don't want to do it.
and we can include an evaluation of the intersection of Round Lake Road and East Line Road in that to put teeth in a request, actually, you know, if I could,
I'm not a traffic engineer,
right.
but you better cover your butt, like Steve said.
All right, so I'll withdraw my on-the-spot, shoot-from-the-hip resolution, because I was getting, I don't know.
The traffic engineer, when I phoned them, he thought it was smarter to do the study after the state had an action on the speed request. Now we're just waiting on the state, as always.
Plus, I have a question. Is Ruley Road also 40 miles an hour?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So just procedurally, you had a motion and a second, so you can either vote down your motion, you can withdraw your motion, but
I withdraw my motion until we do it right with clarity, instead of emotions taking effect on that. My bad on that.
Quick question, though, if this has been going on for 2 years, all I've heard since I've been here is what we can't do. Do we know what the town can do? What it is in its authority to do without DOE, without the state, without the county? Has that been researched?
One thing I can do, and I don't know how well it will work, we do contract with the Saratoga County Sheriff's Department to provide additional patrols. We can't tell them what to do, but I can request of the sheriff. I believe the former supervisor did that. I don't know what the outcome was. I don't know if they issued tickets, but we can request of them to sit down there a bit. Whether or not they do it is up to the sheriff himself.
The slight problem with that, though, now is that the sheriff deputies are in contract, hoping to get a better contract, and they're very low on their patrols right now. They've lost a lot of personnel. So I'm not sure how much service we're actually getting in Malta right now.
We're getting the service that's in the contract, I guarantee you.
From a council perspective, do we know what we can do as a town?
Well, that's a very broad question, and it's been asked and answered on a number of occasions. First of all, you're going to need an engineer. You can't just put signs where you want to put them. You have to comply with New York state law. And that's the first thing. That's going to require the expenditure of money by the town board to get your engineering report. The town didn't want to do that until it got the safety report or the DOT study, and it's been tabled, and there's never been a motion made by any board member to do something different. So that'd be your first step. If you're the town board, you can move to expend town monies to at least look at what other safety features can be imposed irrespective of the speed limit reduction. They might be moot if you get a different report from the state, but you can certainly do that as a town board. And if you have the
Well, that's what I'm getting at, Steve. Is there a difference between a safety survey study that gives a recommendation to us and then we're the decider versus a speed limit where the engineer takes that up to the Department of Transportation and they could still deny it?
I'm not familiar with the safety audit that Roger's talking about. I can pull out the old one and review it.
That's what we need clarity on.
But the second point of it is they're two separate processes. So
Yes.
you have a speed limit reduction request, which is pending.
I understand.
And the prior town board, as I understood it, did commit to, upon the receipt of that, expending money to look at other improvements that can be made. If the town board now wants to say, let's move forward with expending other monies to get this moving, you certainly can do so.
I'm still in favor of what we initially decided, which was to let the Department of Transportation go forward with the path for the speed reduction. What I'm hearing tonight is something different for a stop sign with a safety survey. To me, one has nothing to do with the other. So that is what I need to know, if that survey is done by an engineer, and then we're the decider. Well, that's different than an engineer study, and then the Department of Transportation is the decider. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know it's two different paths,
Al?
two different things.
The problem is when I ask the DOT and I talk to engineers, I talk to the town, I'm getting 3 different answers. And I think the best path forward is to put a resolution forward asking for a study for the stop signs, a possible cross, walk, and rumble strips addressing Miller Road to get something accomplished while we're waiting for the state action on the speed limit. It should be minimal amount of dollars. And I think we need to show the residents on town that we are concerned and we will take action no matter what. With doing something in a timely manner before somebody gets hurt.
As a result of the speed reduction request, am I hearing that the state has to do some sort of traffic evaluation? Is it a safety evaluation? Is it just a traffic evaluation? What's the depth of the evaluation they'll do as a result of that request?
The first off is either the town or the state will have to do the same certified engineering report of a traffic study to properly evaluate the speed limit. That's what's been requested, closing in on 15 months ago. So that's what's pending. What I'm hearing now is the board is saying, and I'm not prepared to comment on the engineering aspect of it but you want to pursue those other alternatives, including the rumble strips and the stop signs and the crosswalks for Miller Road. So you want to review that. We had previously reached out to engineering and put that on hold because of the waiting for the DOT request.
That is
I
the
think your starting
recommendation.
point is to go back to there and say, let's dust off that. What's it going to cost us? What's the additional amount of monies we're going to spend if we do it this way versus the other way? And then the board can evaluate that, and make an appropriate resolution.
So I guess, is that the path this board wants to take? Do we want to reach out to Labella and find out, what kind of proposal they'd get to do some sort of audit?
I
Now?
would like to put a resolution forward, reaching out to our town engineers in regards to stop signs at that intersection and a crosswalk.
Do
And
you,
possible rumble strips.
do you want to limit the scope to that, or do you want the scope to include Ruley Road and the traffic light and, or do you want to wait and see? We can reach out to Labella and see what that kind of work will cost us first before we make a decision? I mean, we can do that this
No.
week and
Oh,
maybe,
let's
At this
not,
point, let's deal with Miller Road. The other issue was addressed under Darren O'Connor, and I'll tell you, it didn't take 2 years to get a stop sign and a sidewalk. Why is it taking us so long? That's my question. We're dragging our feet. I'm tired of it.
Cynthia, I like your
well,
idea of.
I'd hate to say,
finding out
Craig,
what it would
you-
cost.
you're asking yourself that question for the last year and a half. And now you're asking us, so.
I'm one of 5. Yes, I am.
All right. Well, then I say we get clarity before we do anything and find out what a safety audit is.
Let's
and the
put a
cost, and who
resolution
is the
forward.
decider on that.
Making the move to find out what's required for the stop signs and the crosswalk. Labella.
Matt, do you have an opinion?
I would like to get it all done as fast as possible. I am concerned if we do our own study, will the state come in and void that out once their study's done?
No, our study's not going to involve the reduction of the speed as
Okay,
proposed.
so we can do,
Stop sign.
so we can, at the town level, without any outside county or state, we can go forward.
It's a town road, and we can regulate our town roads.
Then absolutely, and I would
However,
also
that
like
has to be done in conformance with proper code and standards.
I would also like to include Ruley Road South and Glen Eagles and Miller Road and Ruley Road South, those 3 intersections.
So, do you mean you want to reach out and find out from Labella what that might cost us and we can bring that back to the board hopefully next
Yes.
week?
Yes.
If not, sometimes it's
So who's going to reach out to their traffic engineer? Jamie?
I would say our planning department unless they want me to do it. So we'll
Otherwise,
figure
I'll
that
do
out.
it.
Yep. All right.
So just for clarity, would you mind reiterating what's being done?
I think we'll reach out to Labella and find out what is involved in doing a safety audit for Ruley Road, Miller Road, and maybe an evaluation of the traffic light situation.
The traffic light, is that a county level?
It's actually 2 county roads.
Right.
And, but but my point about that is if we get an evaluation and find out that it is indeed
Right.
not, not functioning properly, then we have teeth to take to the county to say,
I think the light functions perfect. It's just the options that the light gives you
right, exactly.
doesn't give you
So
enough
it's the-
options.
It's the intersection that's the problem.
And
The cost.
you just change out, right, I don't know what the cost of a traffic light is, but a traffic light that has, basically only allows
One
north
car through the town.
or southbound East Line Road at one time.
I don't know the answer, and I'm just putting it out there. I'm a little concerned about spending town monies on county road, county intersection.
Nope.
No,
So what I would suggest is that, we have a clear consensus of the board on what you want to do. If we can get a response from engineering in time, we could have a resolution for next week. The other one, you can certainly begin the process of speaking with the county, and you can pass a resolution requesting the county to consider it, and you might want to talk to the town of Ballston as well, and have a joint effort to try to get the county to address it. But I'd have to look into the appropriateness of us expending town monies on a study for a county intersection.
What I would like to do is at the town level, at the town level, take care of Ruley Road, the stop signs or traffic signals we need for Ruley Road, Glen Eagles, and Miller Road. Second, at the county level, I would like to reach out to the county to do whatever we need to do to get that light change at the intersection of East Line and Round Lake Road. Third, I'm maybe if we can somehow reach out to the state to speed up this process, try to motivate them to finish their DOT study to get the speed reduction on the both Rully Road and Miller Road.
Is that, everybody on board with that path forward? Okay, we'll have a report back to you next week then, I hope. At least some sort of
Could we also
update.
have a resolution in there next week to move forward with the possible safety study of the stop signs and the crosswalks?
Yeah, we already have a resolution, I believe, for that from in the past, but now
That
it's
was
a
for
matter.
the speed
No,
reduction.
no, there was a second, if I'm not mistaken, but again, yes, we can have some resolution provided we know the amount of money that's going to be expended.
If we don't have it next week, it will definitely be done by the 20th.
Okay.
You know, it all depends on how fast we can get stuff back from Labella.
The residents deserve it.
Okay, we done with that?
Yep.
The next thing on our agenda is a discussion, although I'm kind of just want to explain it to the board members. I think it's more than we can actually digest tonight. The planning department has asked that their code enforcement be allowed to use, to wear body worn cameras. Our town attorney has told us that no other towns in New York actually allow that with code enforcement, but as Malta are trailblazers, I think we should at least consider it. Our code enforcement officer and our town attorney have put together a possible proposal, a policy for the town to wear, for their code enforcement officers to be able to wear body cameras. Why this even came up is we have a property owner or an apartment complex that is refusing to allow our code enforcement in without wearing body cameras, so,
That and other safety concerns.
and
that
other
have
safety
been
concerns out on the road, so.
Threatening behavior towards some of our code enforcement officers, and
Are the dog officers also
he-
included in that? Because I know.
I believe
they
Brownie
have had
currently
issues.
wears one, so, but we don't have a policy, and.
we don't have a policy and he is included in the.
Right, in this
Now, that's just
policy.
a very preliminary draft of a possible policy for the town. The big issues are for the board to, make sure they're comfortable with the videotaping within residents' homes. And that can be sometimes a contentious situation for people. They don't want their children being videotaped. They don't want their personal spaces being videotaped. But the code enforcement is looking at it from the perspective of safety and also transparency and clarity. There's good reasons, there's good evidence as to what they actually viewed and saw and document. But there's real privacy concerns, not just for the residents, there's privacy concerns for the individual code officers. Some people don't want to wear one. There's also, not in our town that I'm aware of, there's also FOIL requests, and these are records, and how we have to safeguard and protect those, and who's going to get them and what they're going to be used for. It's a thorny issue, but an important one, and with legitimate reasons for code enforcement wanting and needing this. So we started working on it, wanted to put it forward to the board so they could start thinking about it, look at those issues, and potentially move this forward. There's also a possibility that in the meantime, we may, with respect to the apartments that Supervisor Young mentioned, that, we may have a resolution just to approve an agreement for them to, between the town and that developer, to use the body cameras for that place in the meantime, so we
Right.
can continue with those inspections. Those are vacant and less concerning. But I guess the big point for me in wanting it on a preliminary now, it may not be ready for action on 5/6/2024, but for the board to do their homework on their positions with respect to this, and talk to to code enforcement and the public and, you know, start moving this forward.
Have
Take some time to read it and think it over. And
you tried to gather some of the info from other cities that have the same?
There are none.
There are
Are
no
none?
no other
None in
municipalities in New York
this,
State.
that I'm aware of, that the Association of Towns, that the other avenues, I've not located a single municipality in the state of New York that has this policy, or a city. City of Syracuse has been looking at it for an extended period of time, and it hasn't proceeded. And there are some municipalities or cities in Florida. No comments about Florida, please. No, but they're not really applicable to New York. So it's, you know, there are legal issues for sure, but there's also important safety issues for our code enforcement. So
And just because nobody else is doing it doesn't mean we can't if we choose to. So, like I say, take some time, look it over. Those of you who are more familiar with law enforcement maybe can, you know, have some comment.
And just so you know, the regulations are based upon, you know, the policies based upon policies that have been implemented for police. But code enforcement in this situation is not defined as the same type of officer as a police officer, so.
Gotcha.
You want to,
Steve?
So.
you want to action this next week?
No.
No, I was going to say. I
No,
don't- I
but
don't
that
think
was the
that's
only
necessary.
way to bring it up in discussion.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm just asking you to take some time, look over the
Yeah.
policy, see what suggestions you might have, and, you know, we'll revisit it. And next, I just want to give you an update on the Pellegrino's lease. We made the modifications that we talked about before. 5-year lease, not limiting what amount of money we can spend on the building to repair. It's in his hands. He has a new attorney, and so they're reviewing it. So hopefully, we'll actually end up with a signed agreement for Pellegrino's. We have not taken any action to move forward to doing the repairs that we're committed to. We're waiting until we have a signed lease from him.
so we're hoping that we'll have that by.
Right, hopefully by
action.
next week. We contract with Labella to provide code enforcement services to Global Foundries. This year, with the uncertainty about what was actually going to happen over there, we started out with a quarterly contract. So we're going to take action hopefully next week on a proposal for the next quarter. Is this just a quarter? It's just another quarter for professional services, specifically code enforcement services provided to Global Foundries.
Why is that quarterly?
But everybody was uncertain about the future, about what was going to go on. They haven't really been doing much or needing much.
Right.
But we expect that fully we'll be back on a full-on contract with them. I mean, they're going to need code enforcement if and when they
you.
start building.
Is that ultimately paid for by Global Foundries?
Yes.
Yes.
Next, the Malta 5K is a 5K race that is hosted by the Roundabout Runners Club in September. It's the weekend after Labor Day. In order for them to have that race, some roads in the town of Malta need to be closed. We already have permission from the county, they're county roads, because it's in the tech park. It's a great race. All of the proceeds from this race go back to Malta, the volunteer fire companies, the ambulance corps, and veterans organizations. And so we actually, next week, will have a resolution to authorize the closing of those roads for the race. The next 3 resolutions are with respect to our possible purchase of the Saratoga Water Services. Obviously, most of the purchase of that is going to be done via a bond.
How about item 6?
Huh?
Did you skip item 6?
Oh, yes, I skipped item 6, sorry. The American Rescue Plan provided for, I forget, 1.5 million, something like that, dollars for the American Rescue Plan. It might be a little more than that. The way the funds were done, the way the legislation was done, the money that we got from that had to be obligated by the end of 2024. You'll remember that it doesn't have to be spent until the end of 2025, I don't believe, it might even be 26. You'll remember that most of it has already been appropriated. A lot of it is going to the building, the construction of a Maltaville water district. There were some other things, the AV system was part of it.
Seniors.
Yeah, seniors
some
got
money from
some,
that.
there were several things. Anyway, what's left in our funds is $1,300 and change. And the comptroller is recommending that we obligate that money to parks, just generically. It's not really much to do much else with, $1,300, so we'll have a resolution to obligate that money just to get it done before the end of the year.
Can that money, I would like to be able to spend that money on soccer light or lights for the soccer fields over Luther Forest, since the softball fields have lights and the parking lot has lights. And I know we discussed that, we have to raise a lot of money through donations and stuff like that.
But it's deliberately vague, so that's certainly a possibility. It's parks, and that's a park.
Okay.
Can we, yeah, okay.
Like I say, it's $1,300, so it's not,
It's not very much money.
Right.
I mean, I would like to see it spent with a firm, how are we gonna spend it? What is it getting applied?
it also does need to be spent by the end of the year.
Right, yeah.
So obligating it in that case, by the end of
But it should be very
2025, I
clear
believe.
also. It can't
Yeah.
be just vague.
So what are you recommending, Greg?
At this point, I don't know yet.
Julia was actually recommending that it be used for expenses that we've already incurred with relationship to taking over the dog park. It was her recommendation, but again, it's parks, so.
Okay.
Maybe yeah,
We've already,
That is-
like I say, it's funds we've already,
possible for
yeah.
signage or fencing or.
Correct.
Yeah, some of its expenses we already incurred as a result of taking over the park. So, and then now the next three are related to the purchase of Saratoga Water Services. Actually, it might be the next four.
I got a question on that.
Which one? The first one?
Item 7.
Okay, so let me just give a brief explanation for the public, and then for your question.
Okay.
With the possible purchase of Saratoga Water Services, which we will have a referendum on July 1st, so it's not in stone yet. The original contract calls for a closing date on or about June 30th. Obviously, if we're having the referendum on July 1st, it's not going to happen June 30th. So we are entering into an amendment to the contract to extend that date to October 1st. We had a request from the current owner. Most of the system all has radio-controlled meters. There's one last neighborhood that he did not install those meters in. And over the summertime, between now and when we take over, presumably, he was going to install those radio-controlled meters to that last neighborhood. He will do it at their cost of labor, so their people will do it, no additional charge to us. He's asking that we pay for the meters themselves. And the way the contract is, it's no more than 150 meters at $300 apiece, which is Saratoga Water Services' actual cost for the meters. There's no additional price for that.
Would that be paid out of the bond
No,
eventually in the purchase, or it paid
it
upfront?
would be actually charged back to those users.
Okay.
I have a question on the informational hearings, and what's the status? Because
You're jumping ahead.
I know, but, you know, we really haven't gotten out to the public to stop the rumors on this. It is so vital. Our last administration, that was a priority, and everybody agreed on it, and I hear little conversation on it except through rumors.
If you'll jump ahead to item 10, where I'm skipping over, 8, 9, we'll go back to those. We're tentatively scheduling the public meetings for the 15th. I think it's a Wednesday, here at Town Hall at 7 PM. And the only day that was, the only Saturday that was available at the community center is June 1st. So we wanted to have a 9 AM, June 1st at the community center. If we find that those two meetings are not enough, we'll schedule something additional. We didn't quite schedule, they're only tentatively scheduled now because of course I wanted to get the board to make sure that those dates were okay with
Is
you.
it possible to put any signage out?
Oh, yeah, once,
For us that actually,
once the dates are, once we pick the dates, we'll get that out as much as we can to as many people as we can. I
Because
will
it-
send an email to all of the HOAs. It'll be on the website. We'll do a social media burst. We'll try to get, we want as many people that have any interest or any questions about it to attend one of these meetings. And as I say, if 2 doesn't end up being enough, we'll schedule something else, so.
the reason why I keep bringing it up, when we did the Maltaville water, people got back to me and said they never heard anything about any public meetings. They got nothing in the mail. They did get it in the mail. They didn't pick it up. It got lost. I don't know what the answer is. But people need to be reminded over and over and over. This is vital.
Yeah.
That they
Agreed.
get accurate, correct information. No question about that.
The other thing is, once we firm these dates up, like I said, that's what I'm asking tonight, is if those dates are okay. Saratoga Water Services is actually going to send a mailer of some sort of mailing to all of their existing customers. He wants to be able to put these dates out. So, are the dates okay? May 15th and 6/1? I don't know that we all have to be there, but if anybody that wants to be there should be there. Catherine will put together a whole,
Thank you.
thing. Yeah, you're welcome. We're all good with that? So we'll go back, item number 8. There's gonna be a bond, so we need a bond resolution, and we need to appoint bond counsel. And it was recommended by our attorney, William Ryan, who's representing in this, that we hire Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe. And Julia, our comptroller, evaluated them and decided they were satisfactory. So there'll be a resolution to appoint the bond counsel, and the financial advisor is Fiscal Advisors and Marketing, who I believe we also used for the Maltaville Water project. Or something else, no, Mangino's. We use that for Mangino's. So those 2 resolutions will be on. So another discussion is, I want to request that we do some additional demolition down at Mangino's. I don't know if you all looked at the photos. The photos are in your file and they were emailed to you. When they did the demolition, they left the gazebo and another little building. And in further inspection, both of those buildings are unsafe. I think the plan was to move the gazebo, but it's in such bad shape that it can't be planned. It can't be actually moved. So the team that's been going down there back and forth is recommending that we actually demolish those. Our highway superintendent has graciously agreed that his crew can do that, but we wanted, of course,
We had a
Commissioner.
contract for like $250,000. Are they in default of their contract?
No, they are not. Those buildings were not included in the contract. The former supervisor thought there might be of some use. But in further inspection, we've decided that
They were specifically
They were specifically
out
left out, yes.
for restoration at some point.
Yes, but I mean,
Who
I think,
evaluated them?
well, a bunch of us. The maintenance supervisor, Kristen can probably speak to it. Kristen? Did,
The gazebo itself, it was on some sort of a board decking, and they just cut it away, so it's not even stable.
there's a lot of, like I say, I did send photos, so you have photos.
And the other building is just deteriorating. You know, I mean, it's not really safe. It's been broken into multiple times. I mean,
It looks like the roof may collapse eventually.
the roof might collapse and
If Greg approved it, then I'm all set.
I don't know, Greg. It was actually,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was actually Terry who was, you know, maintenance supervisor. Who else? We've had much people down there. So, what do you think?
Shame on me for not reading that contract better, because everything out there should have been leveled to the ground. And now we're
Well-
gonna go back for how much money we spent?
Well, it'll be done in-house at least,
Because
but
that
yes.
contract had like 50 dump trucks. I thought we were digging to China with that many dump trucks to get out of there with all the
Yeah.
debris. That I doubt they got 50 dump trucks worth. That's on me.
I mean,
So we on 10?
We okay?
Yeah.
Everybody's okay with that? Thank you. 10, no, we went through that. That's the appointment of the bond council. We skipped down to 11. 10 was the meetings. The last is the chairperson, actually it's the team leader of the Community Emergency Response Team. The chair, she stepped down. So we have been looking for another chair. There's another member of the Community Emergency Response Team that is stepping up and says that she was willing to be chair. So we're going to appoint a new chair for the CERT team next week, hopefully. The member is Laura Principe. Anything else? Is there any other comments from the town board?
Yes. The sheriff's department is currently in contract right now.
The sheriff's, with us?
Yes.
For us, yes.
Yes. It's a rhetorical question. I'm encouraging that we give the sheriff's deputies pay raises. Saratoga County Sheriff's Department is one of the lowest paid county sheriff's department. I believe Warren County, Washington County, all the surrounding counties have higher pay. The situation in recruiting police officers is pretty sad right now, I guess is, I don't know if that's the appropriate word. A lot of police officers, when a department hires a police officer, most of them would come fresh off the street. They take the exam, and they go to the academy. Now, a lot of police officers are not finding the proper word, but stealing each other's department's officers. Or police officers are going to other higher paying agencies because not many people are taking the exams because of multiple reasons, and one of them is low pay. So I do support that the sheriff's department receive pay raises in their new contract.
And let me just give you a little clarification on that. So last year, the sheriff's deputies entered into a contract where their primary focus was really benefits for retirees, for the 20-year retirees. And they, I don't know if it was unanimous, but they strongly supported that contract that included, their pay and everything a year ago. The PBA is now asking, the union is now asking that so not the PBA, the union, is asking that the county reopen that contract. I agree with you, Matt, that the contract should be reopened. The chairman of the County Board of Supervisors is refusing to reopen that contract. We're still trying to get enough support from other supervisors to force his hand. So I agree with you. The statistics that they have provided for us are, it's not just what their pay is, it's that other municipalities pay more. And of course, everybody knows living in Saratoga County is not cheap. Washington County sheriff's deputies make more than Saratoga County sheriff's deputies do.
Warren County.
The Warren County, yep. So I'm glad to hear that you're supportive of that, and I'm doing what I can.
Thank you. And arguably, we will spend more money through overtime and covering shifts that aren't manned.
Right, and their complaint is that they have forced overtime now, so it's, the county also hired some part-time deputies. The union says that shouldn't have happened, so there's a dispute there, but I'll try to keep you posted on where that goes.
And I also back that. I've heard issues that they've offered a slight raise. I mean, it was pitiful.
I don't know.
They really need to be addressed.
The other county issue, if anybody, cares,
opening the
is the CSEA does not have a contract. They overwhelmingly turned down the contract that was negotiated, so they are now going to arbitration. And, we'll see where that goes. They're waiting for a mediator. There may be one now, so that's county stuff. I'll try to keep you posted. Anything else from anybody here? Public comment? We have a final public comment period. Oh, everybody's getting up. Kathy, you stay for a minute. Everybody behind you standing up.
Good evening. Noah Buck, 18 Miller Road. Thank you for the positive momentum, it feels like, with respect to that topic tonight. It's been a long time coming. I know there's still some things that feel a little nebulous, but I think we now have more stuff that's sticking together for an action plan. Two comments or questions, I guess. I know this isn't Q&A, but just submit them for record. As it relates to the governance of things, I heard Steve mention a couple of things tonight, that the DOT study was tabled, and I don't remember there ever being DOT study being from the prior town board. I don't remember that being talked about or discussed, or why that was tabled.
That wasn't tabled. It was the engineer asked that the speed reduction request happen first.
Okay.
Well, and that's what Steve had said. Now I'd like to see it specific to the stop signs at the intersections, the crosswalk, and separate from the speed reduction.
Okay. My other governance question is the safety audit. It's not, Steve, you mentioned that was already resolved.
No, Roger was referring to a prior one in the same area. I forget which year it was done.
Okay.
In
2013.
2013. So that would be a starting point to pull that out and look at some of the recommendations.
Okay.
And see whether it needs to be updated.
Okay. Thanks. And then my final thing is, as stuff starts to clump together and we have a clear path, I think it would be helpful for us, and maybe perhaps for you all too, to have a specific action plan. This happens, and then this happens, and we can measure the progress, we can hold each other accountable, and just have more clarity on this. We've been, between what people say down here, what the ideas are here, it just feels like every time we come to these meetings, everyone's just throwing stuff out from different angles. But now, I feel tonight we got town stuff, we got county stuff, we got state stuff, and we're gonna have more clarity in the coming weeks. If we can make a list or something just to feel organized and accountable about it, that would go a long way. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah.
Hi, I'm Dana Noble, Luther Forest. I want to support the Miller Road Group because I think I've been coming to these meetings not for a long time, but it's been an issue for almost every meeting I've come to. And I appreciate your perseverance, and I hope with what we've heard tonight that you do get that action plan and you do get that results that you're looking for. No one should feel unsafe walking on their road around here, unless you're out on Route 9, of course. Having said that, I would love to harness your enthusiasm out Miller Road we've got our own issue. Now, ours isn't a safety one, it's an aesthetics. It's Luther Forest, it's what's left of Luther Forest. One of the questions I have for the board is, a comment, my wife and I were talking tonight and said, well, once this last piece, when I'm talking about the police station is gone, is that the last piece that they can develop in Luther Forest? And I'm talking around the neighborhoods, not the Global Foundries, industrial park or whatever. I mean, is this the last 4 acres that are left to be, or are there other ones that we're not aware of that we need to be working in advance of someone else coming up with an idea to take more trees out of our forest? So having said that, I would ask you to, just get back to me, Cynthia, whoever, let me know.
Okay.
And I would like to invite, all these people hopefully watching tonight, that is it Thursday in the library, Thursday night at 6 o'clock. We are having a get-together with Luther Forest people and would encourage anyone else to come, because this is our forest, this is our community. What we do with it is what's, you cut it down, it's gone, it's not gonna come back. So that's it, and I hope you can all come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, nobody's standing up behind you. That's why you sit in the back.
I know. Well, my dad always said, don't put your back to the door. So I was just made aware of this, and this is a totally different hat. How many people here worked the elections this last year? Were any of you invited to this party on April 16th? Oh, well, I guess that answers that question. On April 16th, the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors held a recognition for all of the volunteers and staff that actually worked the elections, made sure everything was done correctly, and we never heard about it. And in fact, in the newspaper, it lists Galway twice and Malta not at all. So I was disappointed in that.
Wow.
So I know you guys don't have anything to do with that, but hopefully the county will recognize that they have a pretty good group here. We did cover all of the districts, which some towns did have difficulty with that. So I recognize and thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for your action tonight. I would support the inclusion of Ruley Road and Miller Road. I very much appreciate our Ruley Road resident who came out and supported us. It's nice to know that I think it was Sharon who coined it, the speedway. It really is. The Miller Road, Ruley Road, it's all one issue, East Line Road. So thank you for including them. Thank you for all of our residents who are supporting us.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for being so persistent with the residents there. They've been patient, they've been reasonable. Now it's our time to at least show another step forward in resolving the safety issue.
Okay, anyone else? I am going to ask that we adjourn to an attorney-client privilege? Executive session to discuss 2 matters. One matter is some ongoing litigation regarding code enforcement issues at Steeplechase. And the second is a personnel issue. Regarding a particular person. I didn't ask Steve what my notes, what I should say.
Personnel, we need to just expand upon that a little bit. It involves a issue with a particular person that could result in consequences with respect to their pay or otherwise.
Okay.
So we would need a motion.
Motion to,
So moved.
Second.
I will add.
We need to get a vote.
Yeah, we could take a vote, but before we do that, I want to make sure everyone knows we will not be coming back into session and no action will be taken as a result of this executive session.
Yeah, we'll just come out of it and then adjourn.
And then we'll adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you all for coming. Got you out before dark.